Commander Vex-Nine of the Krillian Mercenary Guild stared at the holographic contract floating before his 3 eyes, each one blinking in sequence, a sure sign of nervous confusion among his species. The payment amount made his mandibles click with greed, but the target designation made his chitinous exoskeleton rattle with something else entirely: fear. 17 million galactic credits to eliminate 1 human military unit? Vex-Nine's voice crackled through his translator, skepticism dripping from every synthesized syllable. What kind of fools do they take us for? His lieutenant, a hulking Gorthak named Brutus Prime, shifted his massive frame and snorted through his tusked snout. Commander, the client is offering triple our usual rate. Perhaps these humans possess some advanced weaponry we haven't encountered? Oh, they possess something all right, Vex-Nine muttered, his claws tapping an anxious rhythm on his command chair. But it's not their weapons I'm worried about. The mercenary commander pulled up his personal files, scrolling through reports that made his blood run cold despite his naturally frigid Krillian physiology. Mission after mission, contract after contract, all ending the same way. Total mercenary unit annihilation. 0 human casualties. Sir, with respect, Brutus Prime rumbled, we've never faced a species we couldn't outgun. Our plasma cannons can vaporize mountains. Our shields can withstand supernova radiation. What could possibly— Shut up and listen, Vex-Nine snapped, his voice rising to an almost comical pitch. 3 months ago, the Zephyrian death squad, you know, those purple-skinned psychopaths who eat their enemies' brains for breakfast, took a contract against something called Delta Force. He paused for dramatic effect. 48 elite Zephyrian warriors. Gone. Vanished. Not even their fancy regenerative armor could save them. Brutus Prime's tusks gleamed as he grinned. Perhaps they underestimated their prey. Oh, they estimated just fine, Vex-Nine replied, pulling up surveillance footage. Watch this and try not to wet yourself. The hologram flickered to life, showing a dense jungle on some backwater human world. 48 Zephyrian soldiers, each standing 9 feet tall and armed with enough firepower to level a city block, moved through the undergrowth with predatory grace. See how confident they look? Vex-Nine commented. Each one of those warriors has conquered 12 different worlds. They've never met an enemy they couldn't simply overpower through superior technology and brute force. The footage continued. The Zephyrians spread out in perfect formation, their sensors detecting no immediate threats. Their leader, a scarred veteran named Gorlock the Bone Crusher, gestured for his team to advance toward what appeared to be an abandoned human outpost. Now watch carefully, Vex-Nine whispered. Nothing happened for 17 seconds. Then, without warning, Gorlock simply disappeared. One moment he was there, scanning the area with his enhanced vision systems. The next moment, empty air. What in the 7 hells? Brutus Prime gasped. Keep watching, my oversized friend. The remaining Zephyrians panicked, as any reasonable beings would when their leader vanishes into thin air. They formed a defensive circle, weapons raised, scanning frantically for any sign of attack. Their thermal sensors detected nothing. Their motion detectors remained silent. Their electromagnetic field analyzers showed 0 anomalies. That's when the first booby trap exploded, not a sophisticated plasma mine or an antimatter device. No, these humans had rigged a simple explosive to a tripwire. The blast sent 3 Zephyrians flying, their advanced armor cracked and sparking. Primitives, one of the surviving aliens screamed in their guttural language. They're using chemical explosives like barbarians. That's exactly what I thought too, Vex-Nine muttered. Right up until I realized it was working. The surveillance footage continued its horrifying display. Over the next 6 hours, the remaining Zephyrians were systematically eliminated. Not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through what could only be described as the most diabolically creative methods imaginable. Some fell victim to pitfall traps lined with sharpened stakes that had been treated with a paralytic toxin extracted from local flora. Others triggered carefully placed explosive devices that brought entire trees crashing down. 3 unfortunate souls discovered that humans had somehow weaponized the planet's indigenous wildlife, training local predators to attack anything emitting Zephyrian pheromones, but the most disturbing elimination involved psychological warfare. Here's where it gets really twisted, Vex-Nine said, fast-forwarding to a particular segment. Watch Krax the Merciless. Krax, a Zephyrian renowned for his tactical brilliance, had managed to reach the supposed human outpost. He kicked down the door, ready to finally confront his tormentors face to face. Inside, he found nothing but a single human soldier, apparently asleep at a desk. Finally, Krax roared, raising his plasma rifle. "Show yourself, coward." The human didn't move. Didn't even twitch. Growing suspicious, Krax approached cautiously. The human appeared to be a young male, wearing primitive camouflage clothing and clutching what looked like an ancient projectile weapon. Upon closer inspection, Krax realized the human wasn't sleeping, that he was dead. Had been for hours. What kind of sick joke is this? Krax snarled, spinning around to search for hidden enemies. That's when he noticed the note pinned to the dead human's chest. Written in perfect Zephyrian script, it read, "Thanks for playing. Your performance has been recorded for training purposes. With love, Staff Sergeant Murphy and the boys. P.S. Check your equipment." Krax looked down at his plasma rifle. A small device had been attached to the power cell while he was distracted by the dead human. Clever little monkeys, he admitted, just before the device detonated. And that, Vex-Nine concluded, pausing the footage, is why no self-respecting mercenary unit takes contracts against human special forces anymore. Brutus Prime sat in stunned silence for several moments before speaking. But they're just humans. They don't have energy weapons. They don't have force fields. Their ships barely achieve faster-than-light travel. Exactly. Vex-Nine exclaimed, throwing all 3 of his arms up in exasperation. They're supposed to be easy targets. That's what makes them so terrifying. The commander pulled up additional files, each one more disturbing than the last. The Andromedan Shadow Legion, wiped out by something called Navy SEALs using nothing but underwater breathing apparatus and pointy metal sticks. The Galactic Corsair Brotherhood lost an entire battle cruiser to 6 humans with rocket launchers that looked like they were assembled in someone's garage. How is that even possible? Brutus Prime demanded. Because they don't fight fair. Vex-Nine shouted. Every other species in the galaxy follows the rules of honorable combat. You meet your enemy on the battlefield. You exchange fire until someone surrenders or dies. It's civilized. It's predictable. It makes sense. He began pacing back and forth, his voice rising to near hysteria. But humans? Oh no, they couldn't just follow the rules like everyone else. They had to go and invent something called asymmetric warfare. They hide in holes. They attack at night. They use their own dead as psychological weapons. They turn everything into a trap. Brutus Prime's expression grew thoughtful. Perhaps if we studied their tactics. Study their tactics? Vex-Nine interrupted with a bitter laugh. Oh, we've tried that. The Hegemony Military Academy spent 3 years analyzing human combat footage. You know what their conclusion was? What? Humans are completely insane. The holographic contract still flickered between them, its 17 million credit offer glowing like a cursed beacon. Commander Vex-Nine had just finished explaining why every sane mercenary in the galaxy avoided human military contracts when the conference room door hissed open. Well, drawled a voice that made Vex-Nine's 3 eyes simultaneously roll in annoyance. If it isn't the famous Krillian Mercenary Guild, turning down easy money because they're scared of some hairless primates. Captain Zara-Keth of the Voidborn Reapers strutted into the room, her serpentine form coiling with predatory confidence. Her species, the Sithrak, were known throughout the galaxy for 2 things: their complete lack of fear and their complete lack of common sense. Zara-Keth, Vex-Nine sighed, his mandibles clicking in irritation. I should have known you'd slither out of whatever rock you've been hiding under. The only thing I've been hiding from is boredom, she hissed, her forked tongue tasting the air with amusement. While you've been telling ghost stories about scary humans, my reapers have been conquering star systems for fun. Brutus Prime leaned forward, his tusks gleaming. Captain, with all due respect, you haven't faced human special forces. These aren't regular colonists or cargo haulers we're discussing. Oh, I'm positively trembling with terror, Zara-Keth replied, her voice dripping with more sarcasm than a Venusian acid rain. Let me guess, they have pointy sticks and loud noises. How absolutely frightening. Vex-Nine pulled up another file, this one marked with biohazard warnings and psychological trauma advisories. Fine. You want to know what happened to the last mercenary captain who shared your overconfidence? Meet Thrakkor the Invincible. Past tense, I notice, Zara-Keth observed with a smirk. Very past tense, Vex-Nine confirmed grimly. Thrakkor commanded the Omega Destroyer Legion, 300 of the most ruthless killers in the Andromeda sector. Their specialty was orbital bombardment followed by ground-based extermination. Simple, efficient, brutal. The holographic display showed a massive Kraken-class dreadnought approaching a blue-green world that looked embarrassingly peaceful. The ship's weapon arrays could have reduced continents to ash within hours. See, now that's how you handle primitives, Zara-Keth said approvingly. None of this ground combat nonsense. Just vaporize them from orbit and collect your payment. That's exactly what Thrakkor thought, Vex-Nine replied. Right up until his sensors detected the target. The footage continued. Deep scans revealed a small compound nestled in mountainous terrain, apparently housing something called Green Berets. Thermal imaging showed exactly 12 human heat signatures. 12? Zara-Keth laughed so hard her scales rattled. He brought a dreadnought to kill 12 humans? What was he planning to do with the other 299 soldiers? Originally? Go home early and spend his payment on Rigelian pleasure slaves, Vex-Nine answered darkly. Instead, he got to experience what humans call mission creep. The attack began predictably enough. Thrakkor's ship opened fire with precision plasma strikes, reducing the visible compound to molten slag within minutes. Mission accomplished, or so it seemed. Excellent work, Thrakkor could be heard saying on the bridge recordings. Primitive species eliminated with minimal resource expenditure. Prepare for, that's when his communications officer interrupted with news that made Vex-Nine's skin crawl even in retelling. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. Impossible. Nothing could have survived that bombardment. Nevertheless, sir, someone is attempting to contact us. The transmission crackled through the ship's speakers, carrying a distinctly human voice with what sounded suspiciously like amusement. Howdy there, big fella. This is Master Sergeant Jake Collins of the United States Army Special Forces. Nice light show you just put on. Really got our attention down here. Thrakkor's bridge fell silent. According to sensors, there were no life signs remaining on the planet's surface. Identify yourself and your location immediately, Thrakkor demanded. Well now, that would be telling, wouldn't it? Came the cheerful reply. But I'll give you a hint, we're not where you think we are. Impossible. My sensors show the target facility has been completely destroyed. Oh, you mean that old thing? Yeah, that was just the gift shop. We cleared out of there about 6 hours ago when our satellites detected your ship entering the system. Zara-Keth's smirk was beginning to fade. How did they detect a cloaked dreadnought? That's what Thrakkor wanted to know, Vex-Nine continued. Turns out humans have this annoying habit of paying attention to things like gravitational anomalies, electromagnetic disturbances, and what they call that feeling when something ain't right. The conversation between Thrakkor and the mysteriously surviving human continued. What do you want? Thrakkor snarled. Want? Well, that's mighty considerate of you to ask, Sergeant Collins replied. I reckon what we want is for you and your boys to turn that fancy ship around and head on home before this gets unpleasant. Unpleasant? Thrakkor's laughter boomed through the bridge. I have 300 warriors and enough firepower to crack this planet in half. What could you possibly do to me? Oh, I'm sure we'll think of something. We're pretty creative when we put our minds to it. That's when Thrakkor made his fatal mistake. Instead of retreating like any sensible being would after receiving such an ominous threat, he decided to prove his superiority by landing his forces. This is where it gets really ugly, Vex-Nine warned, fast-forwarding through several hours of footage. The Omega Destroyer Legion deployed in textbook formation, overwhelming force applied with military precision. They swept across the planet's surface like a plague of armored locusts, their advanced weapons reducing everything in their path to atoms. For 6 hours, it looked like a standard extermination operation. Then the humans started fighting back. At first, we thought it was just random resistance, Vex-Nine explained. A few improvised explosive devices, some sniper fire from concealed positions. Annoying but manageable. The truth became apparent when Thrakkor's casualties began mounting at an alarming rate. His soldiers weren't just being killed, they were being eliminated in ways that defied all military logic. Some stepped on pressure plates that triggered avalanches. Others found their ammunition mysteriously replaced with non-functional decoys. 3 entire squads were eliminated when they pursued fleeing humans into what turned out to be a carefully prepared kill zone disguised as natural terrain. But the worst part, Vex-Nine continued, was the psychological warfare. Thrakkor's remaining forces began receiving personal messages on their private communications channels. Messages that included detailed information about their home planets, their families, their personal fears and weaknesses. How is this possible? One terrified soldier transmitted to his commander. They know about my mate's birthday. They know my mother's name. They even know about my embarrassing defeat at the academy. It's called intelligence gathering, Sergeant Collins' voice crackled through their comms. We've been watching your species for quite a while now. Nice family photos on your social networks, by the way. The final blow came when Thrakkor himself received a personal message. Attention Commander Thrakkor, formerly of the Rigel 7 colony, son of Thrakkor Prime and Shessa the Beautiful, graduate of the Imperial War College class of 2387, recipient of the Golden Claw for bravery, collector of ancient Terran jazz music, and secret practitioner of interpretive dance. Thrakkor's blood turned to ice. Nobody knew about the dancing. How? He whispered. Your wife posted it on her blog, came the cheerful reply. Gotta say, you've got some serious moves there, big guy. That pirouette in the Moonlight Serenade routine was simply divine. That's when Thrakkor realized he wasn't fighting soldiers. He was fighting some kind of omniscient information-gathering nightmare that had somehow weaponized embarrassment. The final transmission from the planet's surface came as Thrakkor's dreadnought limped away from the system, half his crew dead and the survivors requiring extensive therapy. Y'all come back now, you hear? Sergeant Collins called out. And next time, maybe call ahead. We like to tidy up for company. Zara-Keth stared at the completed footage in stunned silence for several long moments. When she finally spoke, her voice had lost all of its earlier confidence. That's not possible. They're just humans. They don't have our technology. They don't have our weapons. They barely have faster-than-light travel. Exactly, Vex-Nine replied with grim satisfaction. They don't fight like civilized beings. They don't follow the rules. They turn everything into a weapon, including information we didn't even know we were broadcasting. But surely, with proper preparation, the hegemony tried that, Brutus Prime interjected. Sent a full invasion fleet with complete information blackout protocols. The humans somehow convinced them they were invading the wrong planet entirely. The fleet spent 3 months systematically conquering an uninhabited world while the actual human forces watched from orbit and placed bets on how long it would take them to figure it out. Zara-Keth's serpentine form began coiling defensively around herself. There has to be some way to defeat them. Oh, there is, Vex-Nine said with dark amusement. It's called leaving them alone. Every species that's tried to coexist peacefully with humans reports they're actually quite pleasant. Helpful, even. It's only when you try to kill them that they become the stuff of nightmares. The holographic contract continued to flicker between them, its 17 million credit offer now looking less like easy money and more like a death warrant with a bow on it. So, Vex-Nine concluded, still interested in that contract, Captain Zara-Keth? The Sithrak mercenary looked at the contract, then at the footage, then at her reflection in the polished conference table. For the first time in her military career, Captain Zara-Keth of the Voidborn Reapers did something completely unprecedented. She ran away. As the conference room door hissed shut behind her rapidly retreating form, Brutus Prime turned to his commander with a bemused expression. "Sir, shouldn't we be concerned that humans are apparently the most terrifying force in the galaxy?" Vex-Nine considered this for a moment, then began deleting the contract file with obvious relief. "Not really," he replied. "As long as we don't try to kill them, they seem perfectly happy to leave us alone. Besides, I hear they make excellent coffee." And with that, the Krillian Mercenary Guild officially added humans to their "do not engage under any circumstances" list, right between sentient black holes and that one guy who keeps calling about his starship's extended warranty. The galaxy, it seemed, had learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate a species crazy enough to weaponize embarrassment.